Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And don't you just love it when the SNP split asunder and have a mini civil war over a policy designed by two different people? You have one person in the form of Nicola Sturgeon, who said it's important to have as many representatives at Westminster as possible. And continuity Sturgeon, Humza Yousaf, also agrees with this and is fighting to get as many seats as he can so that he can have a bigger influence in policy at Westminster. Then, as I did the short version yesterday, did a little flash video yesterday, you get Keith Brown coming out saying, oh no, they should adopt the Sinn Féin method of not allowing their MPs to go to Westminster to show how we despise Westminster. And of course now you've got this dichotomy between the two. Well, this has been exacerbated through today. So yesterday was when he's announced it, and we laughed at it, and we said what an idiot Keith Brown is. And now today, he's basically going to have to start walking this back, because there's been a lot of pushback on it from within the party, and people are not happy with Keith Brown basically announcing policy on the hoof when it's not his place to do it. And yet, it's just wonderful to watch the whole party implode over stupid matters. Let's have a look. Right, so do please hit the subscribe button before we get into this. I'll say this because we do need to stretch it out and get as much traction as possible. And the wider the audience base, then the wider the stories go. The more people see them and the further we can spread the truth. Now, I did this video yesterday. It was really just a little throwaway thing. It was nothing major. I didn't think it was anything big. It was just amusing. I just thought it was an amusing thing. Well, it's turned out that it's way more amusing than I thought. It's really hit home with the SNP, and they are up in arms over it. There's words being said. It's another example of the left hand not knowing what the extreme left hand is doing. So the SNP are in disarray as Hamza Yousaf is undermined by Keith Brown over MP withdrawal. Now, Keith Brown is now going ahead what his own party leader and First Minister is saying about having a strong voice and a strong presence at Westminster. If Keith Brown is so in disagreement with Hamza Yousaf, perhaps he should himself consider stepping down, stepping away and just not being involved in this sort of thing. He obviously doesn't agree with his leader. He's got to resign, hasn't he? It's a resignation matter. Anyway, the Nats deputy leader was accused of rebutting himself after backtracking on saying that the SNP should consider not taking their seats at Westminster. Now, I did make the point as well as saying, should they do that? What they're effectively doing is saying, we don't want the people of Scotland who voted for MPs to have their voice represented in the Westminster Parliament. We want to be silent. We want to gag ourselves so that we have no say and will not represent the people of Scotland. Tell me, if you were thinking of voting SNP, would you want the SNP to stand up for you in Westminster, where major decisions are made, where policy is made? Because they're saying they don't want to represent you. And if that's the case, vote for someone who is willing to go there and speak on your behalf. Because the SNP don't want to. They don't want to if they don't want to be representing anyone in Parliament, why are they even standing? It's stupid, isn't it? This is the insanity of these people. They are so moronic. They are so stupid. You cannot think down to their level. And it's because the whole party is filled with people who are absolutely retarded. Anyway, the SNP's general election campaign is now in disarray. It's an absolute gift, of course, for the opposition, isn't it? Labour and the Tories and the Lib Dems will be loving what Brown has just said. Anyway, it's in disarray after the party's deputy leader and chief moron, second stupidest person in the SNP, he's very close. It's only shown who's ahead of him in the dim stakes. Anyway, he suggested that Nat MPs could refuse to take their seats at Westminster. Hamza Yousaf has focused heavily on having SNP MPs in the Commons to influence a future Labour government. And now Keith Brown has said, no, that's not what we want to do. Keith Brown, either run for leadership or resign. Your choice. You don't like what your leader's doing. You've got two options. Anyway, his insistence there is no chance Sir Keir Starmer will not be the next Prime Minister has already been criticised by commentators. And the position of the SNP leader has been further undermined after Mr Brown said the idea of withdrawing MPs should be revisited. So basically you're saying you don't want representation. If you don't want to represent people, why were you standing for an MP? Give up. Resign. Keith, resign right now. You don't want to represent people. Resign. It would see the SNP follow the tactics of Sinn Féin, whose MPs refused to take their seats at Westminster. Mr Brown, who's the head of the SNP's rebuttal unit, seemed to backtrack on his comments on Sunday evening after writing in the Sunday Herald that we now need to examine whether it is right to confer any legitimacy on an institution determined to deny democracy in Scotland. But you're the one denying democracy. You're the one saying the people of Scotland can't have a voice. The brain cell, isn't it? It's one single wobbling brain cell that's going, ooh, I don't know what I'm doing. Labour's East Renfrewshire candidate Blair McDougall described the SNP deputy leader's comments as an enormous gift for Labour. It's a gift for everyone, isn't it? It's saying it was like his opponents had a political death wish. He added, he is providing the ultimate evidence that the SNP offers no change for Scotland. He said, worse, he's demolishing the Sturgeon-era argument that SNP MPs are more powerful voices for Scotland. Voting SNP now risks there being no Scottish voices in the Commons, no power for Scotland, no change for Scotland. Yousaf took to social media on Sunday night to reiterate his belief in SNP MPs being at Westminster. So Brown has said this, then Hamza Yousaf had to get out there and say, Brown is wrong, shut up, we're having them, what on earth are you doing? He's basically shouting down his own deputy, telling everyone his own deputy is a retard. He said, when the SNP is winning, the cause of independence is winning, and the converse is absolutely true. And if you ain't standing in Parliament, you ain't representing people, you ain't winning, you're losers. But Keith Brown should know about losing. He is a serial loser. He says, if those who oppose independence are winning, they'll take that as a mandate for further Westminster rule. That's why we need SNP MPs at Westminster standing up for Scotland. Brackets, shut your stupid mouth, Keith. Close brackets. He didn't say. But that was the meaning. Mr Brown was referencing the debate over Gaza in the Commons last month that saw a Labour motion for a ceasefire pass. SNP members were furious that Speaker Lindsay Hoyle allowed the Labour amendment, seemingly after pressure from Mr Starmer. Definitely, he was seen going in and seen coming out, and then this happened. Undoubtedly, Starmer pushed that. A member of his own party, remember. But that's a separate story, separate day. Mr Brown says, given the dire democracy of the UK and the denial of democracy to Scotland, it seems we now need to examine whether it is right to confer any legitimacy on an institution determined to deny democracy in Scotland. And yet, the very act of saying what you say is denying democracy in Scotland. You oaf. Anyway, some have believed for many years, he said, that Scotland should withdraw from Westminster, while others believe it is necessary to be there, to make arguments on Scotland's behalf to promote and protect Scotland's interests. He said, I've tended to agree with this, but when the institution can be so easily manipulated to thwart Scotland's representatives, the issue needs, in my view, to be re-examined. Actually, no, to be honest, Lindsay Hoyle needs to go. That's a separate issue, though. Anyway, he later rode back on that, taking to social media site X to say, no, when he say later rode back on that, what that means is he's had a phone call and he was told, reverse that, walk that back. And so he's had to walk it back. So he said the SNP's position is to engage, and there is no prospect of that changing for the general election. In the meantime, it's vital we have MPs there to stand up for Scotland's interests. So he's saying, pull them out, had the phone call, no, they've got to be there. These are my principles, and if you don't like them, I've got others. I'm coming up. Apart from all the hypocrisy, apart from all the infighting, it is now quite clear that Keith Brown opened his mouth, they didn't like it, they've given him a major spanking, and he's had to come out and change everything that he said. Oh, well, no, we need them there after all. Apparently I was wrong. I've been told, whack, whack, 6 are the best. He'd probably have enjoyed it, mind. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you later. Bye.